everyone, welcome back to Morgan Hasn't Seen. Me and Jeannine are in some kind of excitable mood today. It is Friday, the day after we have both seen Avengers Endgame. In fact, Jeannine, you only saw it a matter of hours ago.
I did. It's still processing.
I saw it yesterday. It is the early morning on Friday for me. I'm sat here with a coffee and I am very, very ready to gush over Avengers Endgame for however long, potentially 17 hours.
We could talk about this movie for a good long while.
It is completely something else. I think to start, the most obvious statement is to pull something like this off is unprecedented in film history. So well done to all those at Marvel, the Russos, every cast member, Kevin Feige,
Every director.
every director.
This was just
everyone.
a giant love letter to the fans and to every filmmaker that was involved with this whole process from start to finish, from first movie to this movie. This was a love letter to everyone who had anything to do with this universe and to us fans.
It really was. Hello, Jeannine.
Hello.
Welcome to another Morgan Hasn't Seen, and hello, everyone listening to this nonsense. How are you
The
doing
spoilery
after that?
nonsense.
Spoiler, yeah. Go ahead, tell them.
Yes, so this will be very spoilery because when you listen to this will be a full Wednesday
Yeah.
after this movie has been released. So you have the time. And if you don't have the time, go see the movie and then come back and listen to us gush and go crazy over this amazing, epic film.
Yeah, we're not here putting spoilers on Twitter and mentioning people and ruining the movie for people. We are making it very clear that if you click on this, you will get spoiled.
Yes.
On Avengers Endgame. If you haven't seen it, this is for the people that have seen the movie, which I imagine is, 7 billion of the world of 7.5 billion.
So yes, if we get 7 billion people to listen to this, I mean,
It'd be absolutely perfect.
Exactly.
7 billion people to listen to this. I don't know why they would. I don't know why 7 people would, but hell.
Yeah. We pay our friends well.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah.
So this is our bonus episode of our first run of Morgan Hasn't Seen. So
Technically.
you can explain what we've done thus far.
We have. There was 6 MCU movies that I hadn't seen up to the release of Endgame that Jeannine forced me to watch. They were Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, The Incredible Hulk.
And how do you feel like, let's get into this, how do you feel like those first viewings helped you enjoy this film?
Way more than I thought they would.
Yes.
This movie, in terms of its sort of themes and in terms of what it was doing with its characters, was way more referencey to those Phase 1 movies than it was to any, all the ones that come after that I am more familiar with. Like, you got nothing from, like, Civil War, barely anything, but you got everything from, like, Thor the Dark World and
Yes!
Iron Man 2 and stuff like that.
All the films that we pretty much watched, and they were so fresh in our mind because we were doing this whole process that I felt so much more rewarded because that was so fresh in my head. All the Frigga stuff, like that was the last movie we watched before seeing this.
Yeah.
And I feel so proud of us that we had Thor the Dark World so fresh in our minds that that whole scene probably meant so much to us because it was just so fresh in our heads. I loved that so much.
And I imagine if anyone was to skip a movie in their rewatch up until Endgame, it could have potentially been Thor: The Dark
Yeah.
World,
And
right?
they wouldn't have gotten as much out of that as other people who, actually saw it more
But
times.
we might as well start talking about Thor first. Then I think
Okay.
in this movie,
Yes. Yes.
he goes into a depression
So,
after the events of Infinity War.
yes, he's already lost so much going into this. And then to feel like he's failed again, it's just too much to handle. And we get one of many callbacks of, that first time we see Thor in Jane's lab shirtless and the big spectacle that was to Thor shirtless with a giant sloppy beer gut.
Yeah. Although I must admit, Thor's hair and beard have never looked better.
Oh, he looked sloppy. That was not nice grooming. Not nice beard grooming. As someone like you who has a perfectly groomed beard, he did not get nice beard until...
I was talking about during the battle.
Oh, okay. Battle beard. Battle braided beard.
When he's, for a time, wielding both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker.
Yes.
And he has all the lightning flowing through him. His eyes are going all blue. And you noticed, and it's not even made a big deal of, you noticed that he's got a little plait in his beard.
He does. Very Norse god. All the way.
And he looks the most Norse god he has ever looked in that particular scene. And I hope going forward Thor looks like that. He grooms his beard to
for battle.
Look like that. Not just for battle, just in general. Okay. Give him that little plaque. Keep the long beard and keep the very, very long hair. As much as I loved Ragnarok Thor, where he was sort of really cropped beard and obviously short hair, I really like this Thor, although I don't like fat Thor.
Yeah, I kind of had hoped he would have listened to Frigga's last words and to eat a salad before the battle and, got back into that fighting shape. But all of that was so fun. Like, just that whole juxtaposition of buff Thor shirtless for the first time and how, like, ladies were going crazy over that. And then to see him now just in like rock bottom was so good.
Yeah, and as you've probably already realised, this is not a review of the movie. This is purely a recording of a lot of feelings that we had towards this movie.
Feelings is the big word.
And gushing about the movie in no particular order.
No, just whatever comes to mind at the moment. Like, when I saw the sign, New Asgard, I was just like,
I know.
Asgard.
I love that. I love that so much. Yes. And then you see Valkyrie, and Valkyrie's there.
Yes.
And oh my god, Valkyrie's awesome in this movie.
So good.
She was missing from Infinity War.
Yes.
And a lot of people, because Infinity War had obviously come out right after Ragnarok.
Yeah. So we fell in love with her. So
everyone was like, whoa, what's going on here? Where's Valkyrie? She died on the Asgardian ship at the start of Infinity War along with Korg and Meek. Yeah. And nobody's died.
No, they're all there playing video games.
Korg's back. Korg. Yes. Korg's there playing goddamn Fortnite, and it's ridiculous. I've never played Fortnite in my life, but Korg does, and I love Korg. He's the funniest. And the fact that he gets Thor to go on the mic for him and
to yell at people.
Threaten the young child that's beating him at Fortnite.
Oh, so good. All of it was great. His Hawaiian shirt, and they're just chilling. Yeah.
But they are helping Thor's depression, though. They are not doing anything.
They are totally enabling depression.
He's just there with his alcohol and his video games in his horrible, horrible home.
Yes, and with his horrible
Asgard.
body, and
but Valkyrie's a badass.
Yes.
And Valkyrie ends up obviously flying her Pegasus.
Oh my gosh.
Which is And the fact that Spider-Man gets involved
That was
with
beautiful.
that to a point as well. Peter's just flying a Pegasus. He doesn't know what the hell's
Is
going
happening,
on.
but he's there for it. And just the ladies. Oh my gosh.
That little sort of pan out shot,
Moment.
a moment of all
Yes, and you just
the
have
the
Okoye like
female
she
Avengers.
has help, and all of them just come out, and I just felt like it was kind of like a moment to celebrate Natasha and Black Widow because she was the first. She was the first female, like really in
She's
this
the only one that
universe.
isn't there.
Yes, so I felt like that was just a powerful moment to celebrate her, and just the lack. People say the lack of female characters that have superheroes in the MCU, and just that moment was just very powerful as a woman. Like, to see that was just super special and just felt so good. Like, yeah.
And look, even though we lost the leading lady of the MCU in this movie, Natasha, Scarlet,
Yes.
Scar Joe,
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, is the first R.I.P. of this episode of Morgan Hasn't Seen. There will be more.
Yes.
We do get that shot of just look at all these wonderful female characters.
Yes.
And it is such a good shot. It's such a badass shot.
Yes. Oh,
Especially with Okoye saying that. Okoye, potentially the most badass.
yeah.
Because she don't have no powers. She just uses a spear.
Right? And she's kicking ass and killing aliens, and she's just there for it. And yeah, I loved
I am
that.
disappointed, however. I don't think Shuri got a single line.
No, she did not. She was just shooting her
the-
blasters and looking cool. And I had heard some things like people saying like that the filmmakers said that her whereabouts would have been a spoiler. But I didn't really see anything with
A whereabout?
yeah, like because when like trailers were coming out, people didn't really know what happened to her, if she got dusted or if she was just missing, or like at the time. And they were saying if we told you whether she was dusted or not or whatever, that would have been a spoiler. So I thought she might have had a bigger role to play in all of that, but not
Maybe
so much.
maybe no. I mean, we found out obviously that she had been dusted when all
yeah.
those sort of character posters came out. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, she sadly didn't really do
Much,
anything.
yeah. Well, she got to shoot her little blasters, and then she had that little moment when they were when Tony was doing his little monologue, and you saw the families together.
Oh yeah.
Got to see him and
Hell, let's get
T'Challa
straight
and
into that.
Ramonda and her. Just that was very nice.
Let's get straight into that then, because what I think is so impressive about. First of all, I thought this was so impressive in, the first Avengers movie I saw, which was Age of Ultron. We've been over that.
Yes.
We don't need to go over that again. I thought it was impressive then, where they brought so many superheroes together, and it worked as a movie. In Civil War, they did it with even more.
Yes, and it worked
In
so well.
In Infinity War, they did it with even
more, and it still worked.
And in Endgame, they did it with literally all of them.
And they did it the best. They managed to give everybody kind of a moment. They focused on the characters that you needed to focus on and just rewarded you for investing your time into this whole series of movies, because the callbacks, all the moments, like just little things, even little things got me. Like in that big battle, I hear Black Panther address Clint and say Clint, and I'm just like freaking out, because that's a callback to Civil War when Clint is fighting Black Panther and he says, "Hi, I'm Clint." And Black Panther's like, "I don't care." But now he addresses him by his first name because he does care, and they're a team and they're fighting, and it's just so special. And there were so many moments like that that I was just losing my mind.
Yeah. It is. Look, it is a special movie.
Yes.
This is a special movie. It has some special moments in it.
Yes.
And just every single person, every single hero banding together to dust Thanos himself,
Yes.
because Thanos gets dusted himself.
So good. So good.
Like we said, we're not going to go into the sort of review of the plot of the movie because it's all time travel, and I tend to take time travel movies at face value because I don't know anything about science.
Yeah. So we can
So
just kind of let
I'll just go along with
things-
what it's telling me
Yeah.
and look at it as a character piece, and that's exactly what I did. And it was the character moments in this that made me start to tear up. That in one instance made me legitimately shed tears.
Yes.
And for those who have been listening to Morgan hasn't seen this MCU edition, will probably guess what that might be, considering who my favourite is.
That we've established throughout this whole thing. Yes. Captain America.
Yeah.
Getting to go back and have his dance with Peggy. Like that was so special. That was super
And
special.
he doesn't only go back and get his dance with Peggy, he gets his
Whole
whole
life
life
with
with
her.
Peggy.
And then just to pass it on to
He
Falcon.
gets his... I know he passes the... when he gives the shield. That reminds me of something. Here you go, Sam. And Sam's just like, this feels like someone else's.
Yeah.
He's like, you've got this, Sam. You've got this.
It's so
And
good.
Bucky
it's
as
so
well.
good.
And you know how much Bucky and Sam supposedly hate each other. And Bucky's like, go for it, Sam. This is
Yes,
yours.
this is your moment. Like, oh, it was so good.
Old man Steve, and just Steve gets to spend his whole life with Peggy because it all just works out, and Steve Rogers has the biggest heart and I can't deal with it.
And then just the fact that he's like, he sees his ring and he's like, I don't think I'm going to tell you about that. He just, it's special for him. And
Yeah.
I loved that so much.
Obviously, he tells us about it. He
Yes.
does not tell Sam about it.
Yeah. But
We get the...
let's take this back to where we started our journey in Morgan Hasn't Seen, and where these films started their journey with Iron Man 1, and how you felt about Tony then, and then going into 2 and 3, and just the things that we picked up on that played such a big part in this. Like, things that we loved from those movies, things that I rediscovered that I love from those movies, was the whole relationship with Tony and Pepper. That was something that we consistently gushed about when we watched the Iron Man movies. And to see that play such a big part, and also to see how they took that whole setup of Tony never being able to rest until he felt like the people he loved were safe, that the world was safe. Like, that was such a big part of those early movies, and whether they planned that or not, or they just kind of saw that nugget and built from that to that playing into his final moments, that her just looking at him and telling him to look at her, that he could finally rest. Because, Iron Man 3 plays into that so much that, he just can't rest. He keeps making these suits because he just wants people to be safe, and he can't rest until he knows everything's safe. That's why he wanted to sign the Sokovia Accords, because he wanted to put an armor around the world. That's why he built Ultron. Like, all of his obsessive wanting to protect and, kind of was such a huge culmination in this end thing that you did not really expect. And I'm glad that we watched those movies so recently, because that was so fresh, that whole concept. And I loved that so much. And the whole Pepper thing, her just telling him he could finally rest because he did it. He saved the world.
I love that that is her last line to him.
Yes.
Before he passes away, R.I.P. number 2.
Yes.
And perhaps the biggest.
Yeah. It started with him, and this whole phase of movies ended with him. And
yeah,
of course, it's hard, but it was perfect. It was so well done.
I think it's going to take us a little more than, less than 24 hours for me and less than, 4 hours for you to actually process the fact that
that
Tony
he's
Stark
gone.
has died.
Yes, and just the snap and him saying, "I am Iron Man," like
Yes,
the ultimate
the
callback
best.
of all the callbacks in
It is.
anything.
It is the best use of "I am Iron Man." By the way,
Yes.
in the whole universe was that right there. Screw the first use of "I am Iron Man," as we all know. But yeah, look, you don't need any proof that Steve Rogers has a heart. You needed
No.
proof that Tony Stark had a heart.
And
I
you
love
saw
that
that. Had that.
his little wreath had that on. I love that everyone turned up to that funeral and that shot of just looking at every different
Person.
family.
And seeing Harley, like, people thought that was silly or they didn't know who it was. I loved that. I saw that kid and I was
didn't
like,
know who.
I saw and I was like, that's Harley. Oh my gosh, Harley. I heard people like, oh, who's that? But like, I knew who it was right away.
Yeah.
And
I'm kind of sad actually in that scene that Nick Fury didn't go up to Carol.
right? Because like they have
'cause-
that moment when she sees on the screen that he got dusted and she like has a moment like, oh my gosh. So yeah, for them not to have a little kind of reunion. I mean, there was a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, and honestly, Captain Marvel wasn't in this movie as much as I thought she would be.
And they gave good reasoning for that, and I
They
appreciated them.
did. They gave perfect reasoning for that. It made complete sense.
Yes.
She came in when she was necessary, and she didn't overstay. But I don't think she would have overstayed if she had been there for longer. Anyway.
Yeah, but I feel like people thought that she was just going to be an easy fix. That, oh yeah, she would just come in and save the day, and they won't need to do anything because she's there. But they worked around that really well with her having to go and like help other planets and all of that.
Yeah, that wasn't the case at all. But yeah, when they are panning through all those different families at the end,
Yes.
and you get to the end when you get the the T'Challa's family, and then you go to Harley, and then up those little stairs to Carol, and she's just there standing alone, and you're thinking, right, okay, look, who's the one person that's not showed up yet? Come on, Sam, get out of here. And then yes, there he comes. Nick Fury comes along, but why doesn't he just have that little acknowledgement with Carol?
I know, because their rapport and their friendship in Captain Marvel was like the best thing about that movie.
It was. They could have, we could have had a little funeral, not a wake, the sort of little get together. I don't want to call it a party.
Yeah,
that you
like
have
a wake.
after a funeral.
Just everyone together, kind of talking and just having little moments, and
everyone together, and they could have had a little dance to the Marvel Acts.
Yes.
That was just fun. My silly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have liked that to happen right at the end. But I get that obviously this is all for Tony.
Yes. And you saw what they named their daughter.
I did see what they named their daughter. I am now a Stark.
Yes, you are.
I mean, I've technically always been a Stark, but that's in the Game of Thrones sense.
Yeah.
But not in the Marvel sense. Morgan Stark. I want the future to be bright for Morgan Stark. Yes. I want her to do things.
I hope you got all the feels. Like I got all the feels the first time I heard my name in a movie. When I heard Jeannine in Ghostbusters, that was everything to me. So I hope you got all the feels.
I mean, a lot. Look, if Morgan Stark ends up being some sort of
superhero,
some sort of iron person in the future,
iron person.
Why not? Why couldn't she?
She could, of course.
She could be. Pepper could be like, I can't stop you following in your father's footsteps.
But Morgan. Can we talk about Pepper? in her
We can
Iron
talk about
Woman
Pepper.
suit. That was so
Yes.
badass when she came flying in and they were like shooting back to back. That was another a moment that
Look,
almost killed me. That was so good.
look, that big, huge battle, there was so much
So
going on. It is
much.
impossible to talk about it all.
Yes. That's why I told you
That,
we'd just be plucking nuggets of moments of
yeah.
feelings that just sporadically come to us.
But that having me just watched the Iron Man movies for the first time recently, and realizing how good Tony and Pepper's relationship is,
Yes.
to see them,
Fight
fight back to back
together.
against Thanos, and
Her while protesting so much about him continuing to like fight and continuing
yeah,
to do all this to her just ultimately getting it,
yeah,
because even him saying I figured out this time machine, I could bring everybody back or I could just go back to bed and act like it didn't happen, but she's like, but you could go to bed, but would you rest? She knows him too well, she knows him better than anybody, and while there were ultimate risks, she knew that that's what he had to do, and she got that. So it's like just that whole buildup, and just I love that all of that was so fresh in our minds because of this rewatch of these movies, and I just love how that played out so much.
yeah. Me too. I think their relationship ended
Perfectly.
as perfectly as it could have. I think Steve's relationship with Peggy ended as perfectly as it could have.
Yes.
Not so sure about Thor and Jane,
Yeah, but she came back to do that little scene of
but
waking up. I
she came back.
appreciated that.
Look, everyone came back for this movie, including Natalie Portman, who you never thought you would see again.
Yes, like people came back just to do the little. I love seeing Renee Russo again, as Frigga, and
Yeah,
just like she got it. She's like, "You're not my son. I was raised by witches, so I know you're from the future. Future has not been kind." Like I love that she got it and she knew, and you didn't have to explain any of that, and
yeah.
just her giving him advice and her kind of getting him to get back into being Thor again, like that was really great. And then her telling him go eat a salad. That that was such a great
He does.
scene.
He does need to eat a salad, though.
Yeah.
He's not in a bad. He's not in a good way.
Yeah.
But I did love that. It kind of felt to me a little more. Thor's whole thing felt a little more sort of real to me, because it could come off as being just played for jokes. Thor's all sad and he's all
Fat.
miserable and
Drunk.
he's all fat and drunk. But
He
it's
looks like
no,
melted ice cream.
yeah. But it's like, which is a fantastic Rocket quote.
Yes.
Um,
That's one
but
sandwich away from fat. That was on that level, I'd have to say.
this is legit depression, though.
Yeah.
This is legit believing you have failed completely.
And just
struggling
failing
to get.
after you've lost everything, because it's like you don't really think about how much he's lost until he's sitting there with Rocket in Infinity War and he's going through, I lost my brother, I lost my mother, I lost my father, I lost my best friend, like
Everything.
yes, and you don't really his home, he's lost everything.
Which is just the fact that he gets that one last moment with Frigga where he's just he's got a little bit of time just to talk to her.
And I love that she
And
says to him, you're not here to fix my future, you're here to fix yours. And like she
Yeah.
doesn't want him to like ruin anything by trying to save her, because she gets it. And that moment was just perfect. And I can't say enough how happy I am that that was the last movie we watched before watching this, because
I know,
that
man.
moment just meant so much more to me, kind of having that so fresh in my brain.
And that's reminded me of when they're all sort of figuring out what each stone does, like towards the beginning.
Yes, I loved all that planning. But that also pointed out a flaw to me.
Okay, well, can I say
Yes,
this and then
yes,
we'll get
yes,
on to that?
yes. Go ahead.
This is just a silly thing, but when they're all planning, and just like, okay, what's the reality? The ether. What does the ether do? Thor, you're familiar with this, aren't you? He comes in. Okay, so there were these people called the Dark Elves. Ooh,
Scary story.
scary. And they came, and Jane was there, and then he sort of breaks down
And goes
in
into
all
this
that
whole
as well.
sad rant about, I'm not with Jane anymore, but,
I'm not really with Jane anymore.
and then her picture's up
they
there,
kind of-
and he's just looking at it. And just like,
But again, this is sort of, yes, it's played for humour, and the humour works, but this is Thor completely breaking down.
Yes, and then they just kind of have to like, oh, okay, never mind. You just have a
Which,
seat, Lebowski.
You know, Thor needed to go on this different path that he ends up on
Yes.
at the end. Obviously, he joins the Guardians, and which gets me way excited for Guardians 3. Presumably, it's going to be called Asgardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, and I like that now they're going to also have to play with that whole dynamic of Gamora, who doesn't remember anything of the other
Gamora's not there.
I know she's not there, but the whole thing of she knows that Quill is the man she's going to fall in love with, or she's supposed to fall in love with, and him just like on a quest to maybe find her and get her to fall in love with him again.
Oh,
Yes.
so you think Chris Pratt's going back in time
Well,
a little
no,
bit,
I think he's just going to find this Gamora and try to get her to fall in love with him.
but isn't Gamora just dead?
I don't think she's dead. They didn't show what happened to her. You know,
But they didn't show her come back because that was 2014 Gamora.
Yeah,
But they didn't show current Gamora, and I'm still look. I think if that's the case, then Loki also is back, and Loki's not back. The people that actually were dead, the non-dusty deaths, I believe, are permanent.
But I don't know. They changed the whole origin of the Soul Stone now, of how it was gotten. So
This is where time travel confuses
yes,
me.
because like I mean, Nebula tells her that he's the one that she's supposed to fall in love with, and then that's the last time we see her, right?
Yeah, it is.
And it's like if she did and truly change her allegiances, then she didn't get snapped up with Thanos' bad people because she wasn't really a bad person anymore.
No, but also, wouldn't she have come through the Doctor Strange's portals if she was coming back permanently to life, like the rest of them did?
I guess, but then where did this 2014 Gamora go? Because she teleported in the time machine with Thanos to present day. So that 2014, is she just stuck in present day? I don't think any of that was really established.
Have I just been confused, or is this an actual little bit of a plot hole?
I don't know. We'll have to see, because I have to see it again. But I think the last time we see her is when she knees Quill in the balls, and Nebula tells her, "Oh, is this really the guy?" And she's like, "Yep. Well, your choices were him or a tree." And
that's definitely the last time we see her.
And then the time machine gets exploded.
Yeah.
So how would she get back to her time?
Okay, so you're saying that maybe like
this Gamora from 2014 is just stuck in present day because the time machine that she came into with Thanos is no longer active, but she's still she while she is a good person who wanted to stop Thanos, she still doesn't know Quill like that. So she probably went off to do her own thing, and maybe part of the next Guardians will be Quill running in with her again, and
she's now not knowing anything about
them and being in love. She only knows what Nebula has told her.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Although I would much rather have the entirety of Guardians 3 be just Thor versus
Just as Guardians of the Galaxy.
Thor, Thor versus Star-Lord for the control of the ship,
Of the captain, yes.
because that's just so funny.
Yes, that was
And
hilarious.
obviously, Thor is going to win that.
Yeah, well, if he's
But
still
Star-Lord's
melted ice
way too
cream,
stubborn.
if he still looks like
Look,
milk.
he might still look like melted ice cream, but he's still the god of thunder.
Yes, that is true, and he has 2 weapons.
And he has 2 weapons. Or does he have 2 weapons? Because
Did he leave the other one with Steve?
I think he left Mjolnir with Steve, and let's get on to that, because Steve Rogers wields Mjolnir in this movie.
Oh, when he was waiting for it, and she's like, "It's okay, it takes a minute." Oh my god, that was so good.
Yeah, that's Frigga.
Yes.
Yeah, but the big battle, and you're thinking, okay, something. Thor's holding out his hand, or whatever's happening. But that one shot of just Steve catching
Yes,
Mjolnir,
was the whole culmination of the Ultron scene. That was so fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Thor's just like, I knew it.
Yes.
And that was so perfect.
Yes.
It was so good.
Very
And
good.
him and Thor, and you know they're my 2 favourites. And Steve and Thor were just battling him together. And Thor had Stormbreaker, and Steve had Mjolnir, and it was just great.
So
and Thanos didn't
good.
stand a chance.
He was using the shield and the hammer, and it was just like,
Yes, when he was just bashing the hammer off the shield.
yes.
And he actually managed to get the lightning as well.
Yes,
Which I don't know how he did that. This is Captain America, but I
Right?
don't care how he did that.
Yes,
He did it.
Well, because the whole time I think Thor thought the power was with the hammer, so maybe it was part of the hammer because of him, and so it's just in the hammer. I don't.
He's not the god of hammers,
No, he's not.
as who does Odin say that? I don't know. He's not the god of hammers. He's the god of thunder,
Yes.
and it's within him, but it's also apparently within Steve, because Steve is so very
Worthy. Yes. But let me get back to my soul stone.
your soul stone point.
So Nebula is there when they're all making their teams and kind of breaking down where the stones are and what each stone is about, right?
Yes.
Nebula knows what you have to sacrifice to get the soul stone, right?
Yes, because because Thanos tells her
Yeah.
in Infinity War. Thanos tells her that he basically killed Gamora.
And even in that scene when Nebula is there with other Nebula and Gamora, she's threatening her like, "Do you want me to tell you what he does to you to get the soul stone?"
Yeah.
So why did Nebula not tell Clint and Natasha what they would have to sacrifice to get the soul stone?
I don't know. It's a very, very fair point.
While I love
have
that
no
whole
idea.
scene, I love, they've established their friendship very well. That I love that whole scene of them fighting to be the one to sacrifice themselves. I loved that. That was so great.
Oh yeah, them two on Vormir was actually
Yes.
was
great.
really good actually.
But that was just something
I
I
don't
thought
know.
about. Why did Nebula not tell them that, well, if you're going after the soul stone, just know one of you're going to have to sacrifice something you love. And that's how you get the stone.
That's a very, very fair point. But also Nebula isn't the most emotional of people.
Yeah.
And she may not understand that this is going to be a problem.
Yeah. So I just don't know why that wasn't when they were kind
I
of
don't know.
breaking down the stones and talking about this one does this and da 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 da. Why she didn't say, well, you're going to have to sacrifice something you love to get the stone. And I thought maybe at some point there would be some plot hole where they just both couldn't decide. So they just decided to jump together. And then it would have maybe made some kind of plot twist or plot hole with how the stone works. And then they would have gotten it because they were both so willing to sacrifice whatever, something. Like that's what I thought was going to happen. That they would end up just kind of both just jumping together because they didn't know what else to do. And, but ultimately it played out how it played out, and we lost Natasha.
We did lose Natasha. It's a very fair point. I have no idea. I have no answer for that. But yeah, even though we did, lose Natasha properly, I don't think we'll ever see Clint again either.
Oh yeah, he's done.
Because he's just there with his family. I mean, look at all these people now. Natasha's dead. Steve's an old man who's probably near legitimate, actual old age death.
Yes.
Tony's dead. Clint's
inactive. Well, he's gonna train.
Inactive.
He's gonna train that bishop.
That's true.
That bishop, whatever person in the comic books in this new streaming series, to be the new Hawkeye.
Okay.
Kate Bishop,
Okay,
that's her name. Because I don't read the comics. I just watch a lot of breakdown videos and speculation videos. So
I forgot about this.
Yeah, so I think they did say in the new Disney streaming service, his series is going to talk about him training Kate Bishop to become the new Hawkeye.
Okay, so Clint has more to do in the whole universe.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I think the Loki series is going to be Loki, what he's doing when he actually got his hands on the Tesseract and kind of like sucked himself away into space. So that's when that series is going to take place. Yeah,
because Loki's actually dead.
Yes, but he is resurrected in a way because... Yeah, when he got his hands on the time stone in that whole messing with time situation with the whole New York thing, I think that's where that series is going to take place of what he was doing in that.
That is the last time we see Loki in this movie, actually, isn't it?
Yes.
When he,
Yeah, so I think...
This is where time travel just confuses me a little bit, because I can't follow everything because I am a simple person.
Yeah, and
who
a lot
takes
of...
everything at face value.
Well, if you think hard into things, that's when you're kind of like think about, well, how did that do that and whatever. But I think I heard people talking about that's going to him when he took the Tesseract when it got dropped and he picked it up. The series is going to take place during his adventures when he in that timeline when he took the Tesseract. Yeah.
Okay, so there's going to be all these different timelines, and I'm just going to have to get my head around it because I'm sure it'll all be great. Yeah. Did like that Robert Redford showed back up.
Yes!
Really liked that. Yay, yes, Robert Redford. Loved Steve in the elevator.
Oh my gosh, Hydra. That was so good because that was kind of a payoff to like that whole comic storyline where he was a Hydra agent the whole time, and you thought it was going to be that whole elevator fight from Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I thought it was exactly.
And then all he had to do was say "Hail Hydra," and they were like, "Oh, okay, he's with us. We could give it to him."
It's like he's not with you. He's just going back, and
then he fights himself. That was ridiculous.
Yeah. Which was ridiculous, but it was also the best.
That's America's ass. That was so good. 3 references to Steve's ass was just was magical. It was magical.
For as heavy as this movie is, and for as emotional as it is, there's so much silliness in it as well.
Yes, there were some good laughs in there. All the all the time travel movie references, hot tub time machine. So you're telling me Back to the Future is bullshit? Like, oh my god, so good.
It really is. I actually think Ant-Man Scott has a lot to do. I didn't think he'd have this much to do.
And that moment with Cassie, like him looking for her name and then seeing his name and then going home and seeing grown-up Cassie, like seeing him like have an emotional beat like that was so wonderful. I loved it so much. Him just like looking at her and like, you're so big. And just even that choice of words for him as Ant-Man saying, you're so big. Like,
well, he could have said, you're so giant.
Yeah, that's true. But
because Giant Man shows up as well.
That was great.
For a little bit.
That was so awesome.
We do like Giant Man.
Yes.
But yeah, Scott had quite a bit to do. Yeah. I appreciated that Scott had a bit to do.
He lost his taco, and then Professor Hulk brought him some tacos.
you know what? Let's talk about Professor Hulk because we brought this up
Yes,
last
remember I
week.
told you I was like, people are saying they want to see Professor Hulk, that it could be a possibility, and you were not really having it, and then it happened.
Yeah, last week after I had watched after we had talked about Thor: The Dark World, um, Jeannine brings up the possibility of Professor Hulk, which is a combination of Bruce and Hulk into one person.
Yes.
That looks like Hulk but acts like Bruce.
Yes.
And I was like, no, this shouldn't happen. Bruce and Hulk are different. That's the whole point, is the whole Jekyll and Hyde situation, right?
Yes.
That's what I was like. One line in this movie made sense to me.
Yes, exactly. The whole thing of like, I was treating him as a disease, as a virus.
Yeah. Which I have always thought Hulk as that.
Yes, we all kind of did.
But that made sense to me because it kind of just works.
Yes.
That maybe that's me not thinking about it enough when that original point was brought up, and just needing Bruce to say that to me
Yes.
to clarify why. But I also think Professor Hulk, if you want to call it that, I'm just going to call him Hulk. I actually think he is one of the better things in the whole movie.
Yes, I loved that, and oh my gosh, broke my heart. Like, because that he had that whole romance with Natasha, and then Infinity War. You think it's gonna kind of pay that off, but it's just not the time. And so you think, okay, maybe they'll get something in this last one, and then he loses her, and you really feel that. Like, even though you didn't really get any kind of resolution to their romance, like, it was still there. It was always there. And like him, even when he puts on the gauntlet and he's like, I tried to get her back. Like, you felt it. And then even at the end, like, he was just saying, I tried, like, I miss her so much. Like, him just saying that, like, it was so sad.
Yeah, it's what this movie does really well, and I think this movie does it perhaps the best, which is the balancing of humor and serious stuff.
Yes. And the emotion and the way they use the callbacks, like, just for emotional and comical purposes as well. The callbacks worked really well, and how they fit all those in there was really well done.
Absolutely, it does. It is really the best culmination of the whole 10 years anybody could have wished for.
Yes.
I think anybody... Look, I know there'll be people that will be like, I have problems with this movie. This didn't happen like I wanted it to happen. But let's have a look at the big picture. Let's realise what has
been
happened.
Accomplished.
Let's realise what has been accomplished.
Yes. 10 years of films to call back to, like, almost like all of them, and to acknowledge all the people that had something to do with all of these movies. That is an undertaking to remember things, and
it's ridiculous.
And pick up on things that people loved about these movies from way back in 2008 to now, and to just acknowledge that and reward us for being invested in these movies was super special and super well done. And it must have been difficult, and they made it look effortless.
They really did, and it wasn't effortless.
No.
A hell of a lot has gone into this, which is why it's frankly impossible for me to not flat out love this movie.
Yeah.
Because not only did it give us the perfect culmination of certain characters, or the perfect end of certain characters, the perfect new paths of certain characters, like Thor, for instance, giving up Asgard to Valkyrie, who is now the Queen of Asgard. And I'm all about that. I want all Valkyrie all the time. Thor's going off on his new path. All these people are dead or have lived a perfect, their
Life
perfect
as
life.
they wanted to.
And then obviously all the new breed. I don't know if we're calling them new Avengers, but probably the likes of T'Challa and Captain Marvel and
Sam,
Spider-Man and Sam and
Bucky.
Bucky. I don't know what Bucky's gonna do really. What's Bucky gonna do? What does Bucky have left to do?
Oh, I don't know.
I've thought this basically since Winter Soldier. What does Bucky have left
now that
to
his
do?
best friend's all old and
I can see Bucky being the next relatively major death.
yeah,
Just because I don't think he,
has anything
especially
left to do.
he doesn't have anything less to do, especially with Sam now having Captain America.
Yeah.
Unless Bucky becomes a new iteration of Bucky. He's not the Winter Soldier anymore. He's some sort of, and I don't know what that is because I don't know him well enough from comics.
Yeah.
I don't know if he becomes something else. I don't know.
He could be the White Wolf and go back to Wakanda.
He could, yeah. I guess he could. Let's have him do that.
But it's like this movie had me nice and settled on, like, I don't need to think about that right now, and that's okay. Like, sure, I'm excited to see what's on the horizon, but this just left me satisfied. And I did stay till the end, not expecting an end credit scene, but just to be there and sit with it and just kind of be there to be like, all you people listing it on these credits, like, you did the damn thing, and I'm gonna sit here and appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it works way better without an end credit scene.
Yeah. You do hear some like hammering sounds, like blacksmith type hammering sounds, but that's about it.
That maybe just a bit of Tony in the desert making an Iron Man suit.
So I feel like that was kind of like the sounds of him making that, making his.
But yeah, the fact that this is such an ending, and it doesn't have this teasy end credit scene, works perfectly. The last shot of the movie is Steve and Peggy
dancing.
Dancing is just perfect. Yeah, and I like that. And like you said, I'm excited to see what comes ahead. And we've got 2 months to wait until Spider-Man Far From Home, so it's hardly any time to really do anything. I don't know how Peter's gonna take it. I assume there's gonna be some sort of discussion about Tony in that movie. Which I'm sure will be very emotional for us, because I was half expecting Tony, whilst dying, to say, "Mr. Parker, I don't feel so good."
Oh, no. I don't think I could have taken that.
But I like that Tony got his little moment with Peter as well.
Yes, that was so sweet. And that hug, like in the middle of the battle, and he just hugged somebody. This is really nice. Like, I love that so much.
A lot of things happen in that battle, and even the stuff with Doctor Strange and Tony as well.
Oh yes, when he's just like, I can't tell you. If I tell you, it won't happen. Like just that, just these little lines was enough to just kind of like, okay, I'm on board. Like, I don't need to like really think too hard on this. And while since we're discussing it, I am kind of thinking about things, but it doesn't make me like it even less. It doesn't make me think, oh, that's stupid. That doesn't work. Everything still works for me just fine, whether I analyze it or not.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still on board for everything that happened because everything was just so well done that I really don't like how you said about just seeing things for face value, that they're telling me that this is how this works, and then I don't care if this is how it has to work to get the product that you got, then I'm perfectly okay with that.
All you need is these little lines sometimes to just pay off things. It doesn't have to be a whole big spectacle of it, but it can bring a whole arc to an end, or to the correct way of furthering it or ending it.
Yeah.
that sort of stuff with Doctor Strange, and because Tony calls him what, a magician again in this movie, and it's funny.
Yes.
But I mean, as soon as you saw the, I don't know what the proper term is. I'm gonna call it what Spider-Man calls it, the yellow wishy-washy circle thing.
Yeah.
As soon as you saw those start to appear,
So let's get into something else I'm gonna make you do that you don't want to do.
something else you're gonna make me do? Oh no!
You're gonna tell me what moment made you cry the most.
At the end, Steve getting his life with Peggy.
Okay. For whatever reason, of all the emotional things that happened in this movie, the moment where I was like bawling, crying, tears streaming down my face,
Yeah.
was when you hear Sam say, "On your left," and the portal opens, and then all the portals open, and everybody comes back, and everybody's coming out. That was where I cried the most, because I was just
I didn't even clock that Sam said "on your left."
Seriously? That was
Oh
like
my God.
another epic emotional callback. When I heard him say that and that portal opened up, and frickin' you know how much I love Black Panther. Like, you know. And
I do know.
when Okoye and T'Challa and Shuri walk out of that portal, and then all the portals open up, and you see Wong, and you see everybody, and it's like, and Valkyrie comes out, and
Yeah.
I was crying, I was bawling, tears out of my eyes. Like, yes, I cried with Iron Man. Yes, I cried with Scarlett Johansson. Yes, I cried at Cap at the end getting that dance. Yes, I cried at the funeral. Yes, but for whatever reason, that moment, I was crying the most. I was bawling.
Yeah, I was tearing up at all those moments as well. That like I said, once the portals opened and everybody comes out and they're all looking. I mean, it is very kind of superhero pose,
Yeah.
but it should be. It should only be superhero pose, and everyone comes out.
Yeah. I was a mess.
I didn't even clock that Sam said "on your left."
Yes.
But the fact that you've said that now is just perfect.
Well, yeah, because he kind of says, "Hey, Cap," and you can't really hear, and I'm like, who is that? And
Yeah,
then
I thought it was like Rhodey.
yeah, and then you hear, and I was just like, oh my gosh, so funny.
Yeah.
No, that was my biggest cry moment, was when all those portals opened up and everybody came out. I was a mess.
Peter.
Yes.
Valkyrie.
Because it's like you knew everyone was coming back, but it's like to come back like that. Because you see all of Thanos' freaking people, and you're like, "There's no way. How are they gonna?
God.
How are they gonna? Like, how are they gonna?"
Look, there was quite a few moments in that whole big battle where I thought, "Oh, this is where Steve dies," because Thanos just seems to just pummel him.
Yes, and then at that point when he realizes, okay, well, I have to kill everybody who knows about this world, and I'm gonna enjoy it. And he's like, in Infinity War, he was kind of feeling like he did what he had to do. He was gonna spare as many people as he could, because that wasn't his mission to kill everybody. His mission was to just balance. So he wasn't gonna engage in a fight if he didn't have to. He only fought to defend himself against people who were trying to stop him. Because after the first initial deaths of killing Loki and killing Heimdall and all of that, that was the last time he really killed people that didn't have anything to do with, facilitating his plan.
Yeah.
After that, he kind of tries to avoid a fight if he can. So to see him here, he kind of was like, okay, well, these people are annoying. You guys are stubborn as hell. I need to build a world now where you aren't here to remember it. So now you are expendable, and I'm going to enjoy killing you. So, Thanos was already scary enough when he wasn't purposely trying to just kill people for no reason.
His motive kind of completely changed in this
Yes.
movie because of the time travel aspect as well. In the
what he saw and what he understood about these people.
Look, because the Thanos we know from Infinity War was beheaded by Thor at the start of the movie.
Yeah, that was crazy.
The Thanos we actually fight in this movie is the Thanos from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, who was sitting in his floaty throne.
Who was sitting in his floaty throne. Again, time travel. Let's just take it at what it is. Don't think too hard about it. I'm simple. Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, actually, that was super stupid. When they're on Morag, it's Rhodey and Nebula, and the "Come and Get Your Love" just comes on. But then you hear it on the soundtrack, and then you just see Chris Pratt just singing it.
And that's how it really would be, because he has headphones on. So it's like you're going to hear, and he's like singing into the like alien, and you hear the music, and it works so well, and it's so fun. But really, it's just some guy singing out into the void, out of tune, off key. It was so good, because that's really how it would be.
It really was. It really was stupid.
Just like going back to those moments was just like so well done. Like them going back to the New York and seeing that epic circle shot that they use all the time and everything, and it never gets old because it's so epic. Like seeing that again was so good, and them kind of just watching the scene of them capturing Loki and
I loved Hulk
and the stairs.
Hulk.
And Hulk stairs.
And Hulk, I hate stairs.
Yes.
But this is old Hulk.
Oh yeah, old
Hulk seeing old Hulk.
And then him just covering his face like, oh god,
oh god, I'm ashamed.
And then him like, okay, let me be ragey, and then he's just like like trying to throw cars and dent things.
He just picks up the motorbike and throws it like 10 feet.
And then he's like, oh, this is gratuitous, but okay. And then he takes his shirt off. Like I kind of feel like that was maybe a nod to original like Thor movie. Like, this is gratuitous, but I'm gonna take my shirt off.
Quite possibly.
Yes.
Quite possibly. Yes. But yeah, that was great. And again, it's kind of what I ended up really liking about this new Hulk Banner merge person.
Yes.
Which was, it gives Hulk the ability to sort of be like this now, and realize that like, oh god, I'm embarrassed about previous Hulk. I don't like previous Hulk.
Yeah.
I like me now. Speaking of that, the technical achievement of Hulk.
That was so good. It looked very good. It looked like Mark Ruffalo, but it still looked like, had the little kind of tiny nose like Hulk, but it still looked like Ruffalo.
It was ridiculous. You wouldn't have known
that was a computer animated character over Mark Ruffalo. Like, it was so good.
It's just outstanding.
Yes.
What I also love is when they first meet Professor Hulk, if we're going to call him Professor Hulk, and those kids want a photo with him.
That was hilarious. Hey, you want a photo with me? I'm Ant-Man.
I don't know. No, they don't want. And Hulk's just like, oh, he wants a photo. He wants a photo. Give him a photo. He's going to get all sad.
Just take the damn phone.
That was very, very funny.
Yes,
I don't know why Bruce Banner's becoming this celebrity.
I know, right? And then he's just like posing. And,
because let's not forget who else is sat there. Captain America is sat there, and surely the children want a photo with Captain America.
No, just with
unless
Hulk.
They don't. Just with Hulk.
Yeah.
Just with Hulk. But yeah, I love the fact that Hulk now wears Mark Ruffalo clothes.
Yes, and glasses.
And glasses. And
he's eating like a big mountain of eggs and burritos. And
and yeah, like you said before, when he gives Scott that taco.
Yeah, because his taco just blows away.
Scott's just sitting down to enjoy his taco.
He lays it out nice.
What's happening?
Nebula's
the
like,
spaceship.
Just a warning, there's an idiot on the loading dock or whatever she says. There's a moron on the loading dock. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
and I love Nebula too. She was really great. Karen Gillan was so good.
She was very key to this movie.
She was. I'm glad, like, because in the comic book, I think in the story, she actually wields the gauntlet, and she like is kind of the
Okay.
one. She's kind of the one who ends it. So to
Okay.
see her kind of have a lot to do here was really great.
Yeah, she was very key, and we
And her
knew
growth and
she
her
was going to be
arc,
key
yeah.
from Infinity War.
Yeah.
Her arc has been a low key one of the better
Yeah,
ones.
yeah.
You don't think about it too much. You think about the sort of big arcs of Thor and Tony and everybody.
But yeah, I loved
But
getting more of her story in volume 2 where she kind of talked about how, that's why she always hated Gamora because if Gamora beat her, he would take more parts off of her and Gamora like wouldn't let up. Like Gamora wouldn't just be like, "Okay, I'm not going to win cuz so you don't get hurt." Like Gamora would just always won and she
yeah,
like wouldn't give her a pass. And so I loved that she had a reason for hating her, but she didn't really want to hate her. She just wanted a sister. And like all
yeah,
of that development was really great in that movie. And I think people kind of forget that because there's so much going on in this universe in general and there's so many other things to look at that you kind of forget that. But seeing, her here kind of takes you back to that whole arc and that whole explaining of her story. And I really
yeah.
appreciated all of that kind of coming to fruition as well.
And look, you see that straight off with current Nebula's conversations with 2014 Nebula,
Oh yeah.
evil 2014 Nebula.
Yeah, she's like, he won't let me be anything else, so this is what I have to be to get his, approval or whatever.
You see how far she's come just from that, and I'm excited to see where she goes from here as well
Oh
because
yeah.
she's obviously still involved
Oh
now,
yeah, yeah.
and she'll be in the Guardians and what have you.
But even just that moment of, like all the human people reuniting and then Rocket just comes to her and takes her hand like oh, that was
Yeah,
so sweet.
and Rocky also had a little tiny little moment with Groot.
Oh
Again,
yeah.
it was really tiny.
Yes. Groot didn't really, yeah.
Groot didn't do anything.
No.
Groot did about as much as
Shuri
Shuri did.
did. Which I mean, yeah, there was a lot going on, a lot of characters and so I totally understand what they focused on. I mean, they took a moment to establish the first openly gay character as one of the directors played in the you know,
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I really like
the
that.
little self-help
Is
group.
is that is that Joe?
That's Joe Russo,
That's
yeah.
Joe Russo.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
I loved that. The whole sort of.
And I think
I
that
mean,
was also a
obviously,
callback to Sam, like how he met Sam and Sam doing those kind of
yeah,
meetings for vets. So that I felt
yeah,
that was another because everything like it was a great callback if you really think about it and kind of go through the universe.
yeah.
So
And I obviously knew that this movie would end with some shred of happiness,
yes,
even though there was a lot of sadness there. But the whole sort of first half is quite depressing and everything's dead and
yeah, and you have no idea
nobody
how they're
knows what
even
to
going
do.
to how you're going to get back and reverse it and
And that support group is kind of very. I just really enjoyed that,
yeah.
just for that sort of really real emotional sense of what was going on in the world. And I also love the fact, and Brandon will love this as well. That he brings up the Mets.
Oh yeah, how much I miss the Mets. Yeah.
And the one of the shots you actually pan over
See
the
the
Mets stadium.
Yes.
It's
Oh
ridiculous.
my gosh. Yeah, I'm sure
And
he'll
I
love
just
that.
thought, oh, Brandon's gonna love this. This is
Yes.
great.
How much I miss the Mets. That was
Oh, but I really like that. But yeah, it ended very bittersweet.
bittersweet. And they did it. Everything
Bittersweet.
was so well done, and it like honestly, this was just a great love letter to the fans and to all the other filmmakers, like all the other directors of all these films and all the actors who
Yeah.
have participated, the side ones, and everyone who has been a part of this. Like this was a love letter to us as fans and just everyone who had anything to do with this universe, and I appreciated that so much.
And obviously, we could talk about this for several more hours if we wanted to, and
Yes.
just go through each of the characters, and what they did. But at risk of going way too long,
Yes.
even though we're not so long yet, but at risk of going way too long, let's maybe start to wrap things up a little bit. But yeah, well, another more character stuff that happened that we haven't mentioned. Anything that springs to mind?
I think we
Well,
covered like the main
we covered the main
things.
stuff. Let's just go through more character. I think Wong has a single line.
Yeah.
Drax, I don't think has a
Has a
line.
line. No.
Mantis has one.
Yes, use a knife, right? Use.
At the end, yeah, Mantis has one at the end.
Yeah, where she
when
tells
Thor
him to
joins the Guardians.
Yes.
He's like, "Oh yeah, knives."
use knives.
And it's like,
Yeah.
who else is involved? There's so many characters. Wasp. Does Wasp have a line?
She does. When they're all kind of like doing their ladies thing, and then she's like, "We can do it."
Yeah.
When they're trying to get to the van.
Yeah. Of course she does. See, there's a lot going on.
Yes.
There's a lot going on. Every little character's doing their own little thing. The fact that it actually all seamlessly blends together
Yes.
is outstanding.
And it was just enough for me to just see everybody. Like, I didn't need everybody to have a
absolutely.
line. I didn't need, like, Infinity War and even Civil War. Like, everybody kind of had a moment. But here, I didn't really need everybody to have a moment. I just needed to see them and see them in action. And that was enough.
I think what we maybe should talk about before we do end is the little bit we get in 1970, I believe.
Oh, yes. Tony having that moment with his father was... Oh, that was so special. That was...
Because I think, they go back...
to the camp that he trained in. Yeah.
Because they fail in 2012 timeline
Yes.
to
get
get
it in
the
New York.
Tesseract. They have to go back to 1970 as well. And de-aged Michael Douglas is also
Oh,
there.
yes, Hank Pym, so they can get the Pym particles. He kind of calls him to step away.
And that de-aging's got a little better since Iron Man as well.
Yes, I thought it was pretty good in
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man, beginning of Ant-Man. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's got a little better. I liked that. But yeah, it's Steve getting them, and then Tony
having that whole little
meeting
chat with
Howard.
his dad. Oh, that was so great. And just, him talking about, and his mother was pregnant with him at that time, and it was so crazy. And him being a dad, and like you could tell he just wanted to be like, "You're a grandfather," like.
Yeah.
Just making that peace with him. And then if you ever watched Peggy Carter, Agent Carter show, like that was Jarvis. That was in the Peggy Carter show, his driver, Jarvis.
Yeah, see, I didn't watch Agent Carter, but I got that was Jarvis.
Yes. Which in the comic books, Jarvis, it was the butler. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah. He wasn't just a really very intelligent system.
No. It just works so well. I love that stupid acronym so much.
Yes.
But no, I really did like that stuff with him and Howard. It looking back on it now, seeing obviously with Tony dying, kind of it all fit together. It all ended so nicely for Tony.
Like, I'm glad he got that moment. His daughter was there. Pepper understood his reasonings. She was there with him in the end. And it was just a great, like you said, culmination of everything. And just us kind of getting to watch those first 3 movies. Mm-hmm. And really now kind of pinpointing that dynamic with him and Pepper and his need to protect and save. Made all of this kind of make sense and just be a very nice bow on this whole phase of this universe.
It really was. I didn't go, before this movie, before I sat down to watch this movie, I had no thought that Tony would die. I just thought he would simply retire and go and live with Pepper and Morgan and maybe get involved with Peter a little bit going forward. I was convinced Steve Rogers would die. Steve Rogers technically isn't dead.
Yes, that's true.
He's just an old man.
But just to kind of tie this all up, did you expect these 6 movies? Well, I guess maybe 5 of these movies, because Incredible Hulk is
Yeah,
like
because Hulk didn't do
F
anything.
you, Incredible Hulk, apparently. Did our watch of these movies and discussions of these movies, did you expect them to play so much into this movie?
No, I didn't. But looking back on it now, I think I was stupid to go into this movie not thinking that it would, because really this was all about the original Avengers, the original 6 people.
Yes, I loved that, and I love that what they did in the credits with that. Like, that was really special.
Oh, yeah.
With their signature and just that focus, that was really special.
But especially with Tony, and that this was obviously the end of Tony, but I've now seen the full spectrum of Tony Stark, and going from I hate Tony Stark in Iron Man to I'm tearing up at the man's funeral.
Yes, Morgan
and
Stark.
at the man's death. And Morgan Stark can go and do what Morgan Stark is going to do, and I hope she does. For all Morgans out there, I hope she does something great.
Yes,
because we deserve it.
We do.
What? No, we as Morgans deserve it.
You do.
But yeah, and again with the Thor stuff as well. I got a bit more into that. I wouldn't have known really anything about Frigga.
Yeah, that would not.
Or
I don't think that would have
anything
had
like
any as much weight as it did if you had not watched Thor: The Dark World, and like that was like Thor: The Dark World. Bleh. But as we discussed, like that was some of my favorite stuff in that whole movie was all the stuff with Frigga and just setting up that relationship with the mother, and yeah.
So yeah, this pilot edition of Morgan Hasn't Seen has helped enormously with my enjoyment of Endgame, and I have you to thank for that, for forcing me to watch all the movies.
You're very welcome.
The only movie you didn't force me to watch was actually this movie.
Oh. Okay. Well, I hope you will trust me more going forward, which I think we can now maybe or soon announce what our next run will be, because I feel like while maybe the 7 people who may or may not listen to this show enjoy
I thought we
it.
were up to 7 billion.
Yeah. I enjoy doing this, and this was kind of a little experiment to get you to watch these movies and discuss them, and I would love to continue doing this with many movies that you haven't seen.
It has kind of worked, and for those who have listened, you may recognise that some audio improvements have been made as well.
Yes, I figured this was going to be something we would like to continue doing, and so it was time I got a legit microphone. So,
I certainly hope the audio comes out okay now. Otherwise,
now
I just
that
sounded
you've
like
just
an
said
idiot.
that. So I've invested in a slightly better microphone, so hopefully I will sound nice and smooth in your ear holes, people.
And we have our logo now, and it's all official.
We're all
and
legit.
It's great.
Yeah.
We are all legit. But yes, if that wraps up our gushing love of Avengers Endgame, I think I will leave it to Jeannine to announce what our second series of Morgan Hasn't Seen will be. And this is starting next week.
Yes.
We're going right on into it. Jeannine, what are you forcing me to watch?
Well, with the upcoming May release of John Wick
Detective
3.
Pikachu. Oh no.
John Wick
Got it
3.
wrong.
We will be doing John Wick.
John Wick.
Yes.
So John Wick 1, John Wick 2, and
John Wick 3.
John Wick 3.
And
Which
we
is
will
perfectly
have
easy.
a nice little bonus film.
Do you want to announce what our bonus film is? Because we have actually picked that.
We have. Our bonus film will be Point Break.
Point Break.
Morgan
because
has
I've
not
never
seen Point Break.
Morgan hasn't seen, and we always talk in the third person here, so we just say John Wick and Point Break Morgan hasn't seen.
So that will be up next. And I think maybe in the future we will maybe do some polls and you guys can help us choose what will be the bonus movie.
Yeah.
If we can't decide. So, but yeah, I think we're...
If you can't decide, this is all on you.
Yeah. I think I was kind of going in between Speed or Point Break, but I thought Point Break would be the better choice.
I mean, I haven't seen Speed either, but I would honestly rather watch Point Break.
So
I'll
go easy on you this
more
time.
Fun. You'll go, okay, thank you very much for that. I need something to go easy on me after the emotional roller coaster of Avengers Endgame.
And we do have The Matrix at some point, don't we?
The Matrix?
Yes.
I've seen... I've seen The Matrix.
You have? Oh,
I've seen The Matrix.
I just
don't like The Matrix.
I guess I'm just confusing you with Roxy.
Oh, an understandable confusion. I do look and act like Roxy Stryer.
Yes.
No, I've seen I don't like The Matrix though. I really don't. It's such an overrated movie.
It's a little much, but
Avengers Endgame's great though. Avengers Endgame's great. I can't wait to own the full collection of the Infinity Saga. And I can see myself watching this movie over and over again. Just because it is that bringing together of literally everybody. And I thought that was the case in Infinity War. But this really is. This is every person.
They just made it work so well. And I mean, just look at the little callbacks that I mentioned to you that you didn't notice. Just imagine on rewatches the wealth of things you can pick up on and notice and remember and
Absolutely. And I was making fun of these people that are going to see this movie 17 times this weekend. You know who you are. But honestly, I might go.
Yeah, now you're kind of jealous of them.
Now I'm kind of jealous of them.
Yes.
Because I really want to watch this movie again, kind of as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I know.
I can't wait to see it again and to watch more and to love it even more and to pick up on all the other stuff and just to be all sad but very, very happy at the same time. And I can't wait to see what's next in the MCU. It's going to be very, very different with none of those original characters around.
Yes.
Apart from Thor, because Thor's still involved because Chris Hemsworth just loves it so much.
He does. Hashtag all the feels.
Hashtag all the feels. Jeannine, is that going to do it for this episode of Morgan Hasn't Seen?
I think it is.
I think it is. Guys, thank you for listening to this outpouring of love for 80 minutes of your life. I hope it's been worth. I hope you've poured your love out with us. And I hope your heart has grown to the size of Steve Rogers because he clearly has the biggest heart in the whole universe ever.
And Thor has the biggest gut.
And Thor has the biggest gut. And Tony has the biggest brain. And
they're off to see the wizard.
And they're off to see the wizard.
Doctor Strange, can he be the wizard?
The Doctor Oh, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Jeannine, what are you up to? Where can everybody find you?
Oh, you can find me at Jeannine Dubbing on Instagram and Twitter. I have a TeePublic shop at G9 Design on TeePublic, and you can see me on the Schmodown as Jeannine the Machine.
Woo! Do you have any upcoming matches that you can tease? Probably not, actually.
No, probably not. Nope. Nope.
That's probably not appropriate, even if you did know.
Yes, top secret information.
Top secret information. But yeah, guys, you can follow me on Twitter at the Purple Dawn with a 3 instead of the E in the, because 3 is the magic number, or on Instagram at the Purple Dawn with no 3 because Instagram likes me. You can check me out also on the other show on this feed, It's a Wonderful Podcast, the main show, with me and Nolan Dean, or just sat here with Jeannine, forcing me to watch more movies for Morgan hasn't seen.
You will love John Wick. You will love John
Wick. I hope I do.
You will.
You
will. I will make you like it.
You will, okay. You will force me to like it as well as forcing me to watch it. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, we are very excited to carry this on. This is the end of our pilot series on the MCU. Jeannine, we did it.
We did it.
I have seen every single released MCU movie, and I'm very, very happy about that. I can't wait to own them all in the big Infinity Saga inevitable box set that Thanos can say he is inevitable as much as he wants to be. He isn't the inevitable one. The actual big box set of the Infinity Saga is the inevitable thing. And the fact that I will watch Avengers Endgame over and over and over again.
Yes.
And by this point, because this is the Wednesday after it has come out, Jeannine, has it made $17 trillion?
It's made all the money.
All the money. But has it made 17 trillion? No.
Give or take a few.
Give or take
a few trillion.
Give or take a few trillion. No, seriously though, has it made 2 billion already?
Just about. I think when I looked at 8 o'clock this morning, it had already made 169 million worldwide. So
okay, and that was from a Thursday.
And that was from a Thursday opening day screening. Yes.
Yeah.
169
and that was
million.
Also not in the US yet.
No.
This is gonna be sillily huge.
Yeah.
Rightly so, because it is an unprecedented
feat.
Movie achievement.
Congratulations, Russo's, Marvel, Kevin Feige. Thank you.
Everybody else.
Thank you for this love letter. It meant the world to us fans. Like, thank you.
And you know what? Lastly, what I'm gonna say to Robert Downey Jr. and to Tony Stark is I love you 3000.
Oh, now you got me crying.
And now I've got Jeannine crying, and I've ended it on a very sentimental note. Yay! Because I'm sentimental like Steve Rogers, and it all links. Steve.
Good job.
We're gonna watch John Wick next week, guys. Until then, that is it for the MCU. Goodbye.